Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
What better way to spend a Wednesday evening than racing with some of the fastest pros in a flat six? That's what several drivers will do tonight, from racers to club members to guys and gals who've thrown on a headset just like us. It's a championship bringing drivers and talent from across the iRacing spectrum. It's the inaugural Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship round, and what better way to kick off the series than racing around their home track, the National Park of Speed, Road America. Live and in color on the Kellymoss YouTube channel. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching this broadcast. My name is Jeremy Scott. Tristan Herbst is alongside, and Jim Cunningham. You hear that munching? Well, he's having some RGPs back in the truck, giving you the pictures and noises live and in Memorex from this historic facility, the place that Cliff Tufty built. Tristan, this is an absolutely beautiful track, 4 miles in length, and when you talk about sports car racing in the North American spectrum, you think about Road America.
Yeah, absolutely so, and especially when you pair it with such an inaugural car like the 911 GT3, it's a car well known for its racing action, especially when it comes to that very close on action, bumper to bumper driving. And on a track like this, like you mentioned, quite a challenging circuit for our starter up, Road America. And I mean, if you've driven this before, depending on what car you've driven it on, quite a fun track to drive. It's also not the easiest track to drive, so it does oppose some of its undersides, but still a very, very fun track nonetheless. So looking forward to it. I mean, one of the first series of the 2026 year, and we started off with an absolute bang here. The Porsche 911 GT3s, and like Jeremy already mentioned, we've got quite a couple of divisions running here tonight, all a part of the big Kellymoss family. And you'll see it on the left side of your screen. We've got the pros, we've got our club members, we've got the team, and then the VIPs, which we'll go through a little bit in a short while about what each of those divisions mean. But for the time being, 5 minutes into our qualifying session, you can see those times will start to rack up on the left side of your screen as the drivers slowly make their way out on track and find their comfort spots in that Porsche.
And no surprise, Aaron Johnson, fastest time of the session, 2:03.991. Look at that. Ending on the 991. I've got to applaud that. But if you've been following pro racing in the United States, you've watched the metamorphic rise of one Johnson running in the MX-5 Cup Series and then making his way into Porsche Sprint Challenge and then into the Porsche Carrera Cup North America this past season. Blake McGovern second in pro. Then it is the number 7 of Griff Ashplunth, Caden Kelly, now on his flying lap. Your only club member so far who has logged a time is Joseph Holman in the 204 range with 204.693. There he is right there on the screen, number 94. Your fastest team driver is Carl Lemko, sorry, with a 2:04.741. That's a very tight little battle there because you got Donnie Leonard with 9/10 of a second. In spite of being 9/10 of a second, that's pretty close by Road America standards. Jacob Harder sitting there in third place. And look at that in the VIP, a driver who I've said, you know what, you'd be good enough behind the wheel. It is IndyCar Radio, IMSA Radio, and SRO's Ryan Marine with a 2:05.407. My, how the tides have turned. Peter, there he is. I need to talk to him about changed it to the family paint scheme there. And Peter McKay just goes, pips him right there with a 2:05.204. So lots to play for here in qualifying. As there is Mr. McKay's Martini liveried Porsche. He told me that that's what he's going to run. I've got to say this, Tristan. I've got a soft spot for that Martini livery.
Yeah, definitely. It's got quite an effect, especially on the Porsche 911. I'm not going to lie to you. And very neat indeed, the balance between the white, the blue, and the red. It's quite an aggressive mix to be throwing into the pack over here. And currently with a 2:05.2, currently leading that VIP pack, but down in 8th overall in this. I would say it's, what are we looking at? About a 14 or so car grid here for tonight for the first round here at the Kellymoss KLÜB Championship. But before we go a little bit further on into our qualifying, you'll see the drivers will slowly start to get more accustomed to that car. The track will slowly start to evolve and warm up a bit, and those lap times should start to drop even more, as we already see Johnson in first with the 2:03.3. I mean, it's quite a differentiation from some of our other drivers. It's almost an entire 2-second gap from someone such as Peter, the likes of McKay down in 9th position. But before we continue, like I mentioned, let's have a bit of a breakdown in terms of what those different divisions could possibly mean. So obviously, right at the top of your screen, we've got our pro category, and that's currently where our fastest driver sits with a 2:03.3. Your pro category refers to the real live Kellymoss drivers, depending, regardless of whichever Porsche series it is in real life. There's McGovern, also up in 4th position right now. And it's all the different drivers that have participated in the past or currently or even in the future now for 2026 for the Kellymoss Racing team. And so they're here tonight to show that the real life track knowledge is indeed going to convert to the virtual world. We then have our club members, and those are more of your fan style drivers here for the Kellymoss KLÜB initiative. And lots of those drivers will start to show their speed. I mean, you can see it there, Holman with a 2:03.677. And I mean, this is not a driver who, races real life cars, possibly quite experienced on the iRacing platform. And so he's going to try and give it horns and counter some of those pro drivers. We then have our team class, and our team class refers to all the drivers who are actually team members within Kellymoss, whether that's engineers, mechanics, or even, the more back-end stuff like accounts. But that is your entire team section. So it's everybody who works in the background to make things work at Kellymoss. We've got Burns in there, Carl Lemko is in there, Maxwell Fleerman, as currently Ted Burns leads that entire pack with a 2:03.7. And then finally, we have our slightly smaller VIP class for tonight with Ryan Marine and Peter McKay. So only 2 drivers in there for tonight, but your VIP class will be your mix of coaches, commentators, broadcasters, and if in-person real-life, icons that are participating in the Kellymoss KLÜB Championship. So that's a bit of a rundown for your divisions here tonight. They're all out on the track at the same time, which is going to prove quite interesting, as we've got quite a big split, I would say, Jeremy, in terms of driver skill level, if you have to ask me.
Ryan Marine goes fastest in VIP with a 2:04.487. Yeah, lots of different splits there throughout the field. I've got to say, I don't want to be in that VIP because Marine and McKay got to spend plenty of time with each other in Daytona in a couple of weeks, and not sure I want to be on the opposite end of that ribbing. But once again, let's go back to the pro, where Aaron Johnson with another flyer. He's going to be coming up here up the hill. Let's see if he can best his 2:03.062. As that's no surprise here that he's been able to fly across the line, and that is same time they did, 2:03.062. So Johnson, if anything, he is consistent But no surprise there. Got a couple of cars behind him with Carl Lemkol, and I think that's going to be Griff Athplunt behind him as well. So nice little draft that he's creating there, but still, he's just quick behind the wheel. No surprise there.
Yeah, definitely not. We're going to see those times, like I mentioned, will begin to rack up even further. As you can see, the sun is slowly starting to beam a little bit further down there on Road America, that there is going to start to form what we would call in wet weather racing a dry line, but it'll more be called an optimal line in dry weather racing. And that line will slowly start to evolve as the cars continue to drive over it, providing even faster times for these Porsche 911s. And we'll have to see how that transcends for all of them. But Johnson still 203.0. And actually, as you mentioned, very, very consistent right now at the front of the pack in that Pro Series. And you can see it as well represented by their sun. I actually forgot what they're called, almost the sun blocker, the sun strip at the top of the car. They're actually colored. Yeah, the sun visor at the top is actually colored in terms of the division that they're part of. So you might see a couple of yellow sun visors, you might see a couple of reds or blues, and that's just a clear differentiation between the different divisions. But currently on board with Mr. Ted Burns, currently leading that team class with a 203.7 as they keep on going. But we could possibly go into a bit of an in-car lap. I do see Joseph Holman is about to start another lap. He's currently second overall. As he started off now, he's going to be heading down towards that first corner. There's no naming convention for the first couple of corners. We do have a slight naming convention coming in towards turn number 4 for Moraine Sweep. But for the first couple, it's just going to be trying to keep the car neatly tucked in right over the curbs and making sure you do not touch the grass over the edges. It can cause a major form of traction loss, especially this late into the qualifying session. But as he heads down towards this bottom right, this is indeed your Moraine Sweep, which will then go towards turn 5 and turn 6, the bottom of the hill here at the Road America circuit. And then that eventually gets a little bit further up towards where car number 10 is now, towards the hurry down section. As you can see, taking lots and lots of space on the right side of that curb and making sure that you get the rotation, trying to keep as much speed on that Porsche as possible. Now coming through turn number 6 and up towards turn number 7 in the hurry down section. Trying to keep as much speed carried in this Porsche. Again, lots and lots of gravel traps on the outside that you have to be worried about. You cannot even let one tire touch that, or that could be a very, very painful mistake for your driving experience. But coming through Carousel now, turn number 9 and turn number 10, trying to hold that maximum speed without sacrificing the track, your track expenditure. You do not want to go out wide. You want to try and hold it quite neatly on the inside. Coming through towards turn number 11, the kink now, trying to hold it neatly towards that curb. Again, trying to avoid that DRS board. You do not want to go onto the outside and clip any form of grass. It will slow you down on this tremendous back straight, the Kettle Bottoms back straight towards Canada corner, as he tries to keep the car neatly tucked in. And this is so far looking like a great lap from Holman. Unfortunately, it is yellow sectors all over, so it's not going to be an overall improvement for him, but still nonetheless a great lap. And coming now through turn number 14, the final corner here at Road America, and up that final main straight towards the start finish. You can see the gradient difference is quite drastic, and over the finish line he goes. Unfortunately, no improvement there for Holman, but nonetheless an amazing lap in the Porsche 911.
Well, here's what's interesting, too. You take a look at the time, the fast time out of Johnson and the fast time out of Holman, and they're 0.3 of a second apart. Holman himself is he's a former NCAA basketball player at UW Stevens Point, so not too far away from there either. Several years at top level of the Gran Turismo Nations Cup and Manufacturers Cup, which, if you take a look at some of these drivers that we have across the iRacing sim, a lot of them credit the Gran Turismo competitions, Tristan, for their success. So seeing this really is no surprise.
Yeah, definitely not. It's good to see them building experience from different categories. Obviously, like we mentioned, we've got drivers from IRL here, but also that virtual racing from Gran Turismo. Obviously, Gran Turismo coming from all your console-style racing. It's not a title you'll find on the PC side of things, where you'll find iRacing and such, but it's still a platform where I've also heard quite a lot of drivers have made their entrance up. So, but it's definitely one to note for. But We've still got about 5 or so minutes left of qualifying, and I'm not too sure if drivers have a maximum lap time, a maximum amount of laps they can use. I'm still seeing all the names highlighted on our live timings tower, so I think the drivers have actually got as many laps as they might need in this 20-minute qualifying session, as most of them are currently out on track. As you can see, it is quite a busy circuit, especially there down towards the hurry down section of the track coming out of Moraine Sweep. We've got number 12, 4, and 9 all following each other. That's in terms of track position, not car number. But back on board with Mr. Peter McKay, the 935 Martini livery, now chasing on just onto the backside of another driver and still trying to improve on that current lap time. Sitting at that 204.6, can he possibly improve and take the top spot of the VIP class?
Find out here in just a little bit. A couple tenths of a second separate Ryan Marine and Peter McKay. You know, it reminds me too, we're talking about Gran Turismo. Jan Mardenborough years ago was one of the first, one of the first to actually make a career out of motorsports from doing sim racing. So, you know, since Jan Mardenborough, we've seen so many others who have decided to try and make that jump into the professional world of motorsports. Watching Mr. Burns, Ted Burns comes across turn number 14. Go up the hill, see if he can improve upon his time. By the way, Peter McKay does not improve upon his 204.66 time, but Burns coming down the main straightaway across the line. What can he do? 203.632 is best time. 679 is all he can muster. By the way, while we're on the note of qualifying, because IMSA is holding their big 6 hour, 8 hour, anyway, it's a long enduro. Absolutely happy to see that back. I remember when the first IMSA long enduro happened there under the American Law Series banner. I was actually a lowly corner marshal back there in turn 11B. Got to see the R10 in anger, and that is pretty cool. And this is the debut in the States for the Maserati MC12. But getting off track, the staff at Road America are redoing the pit road. They're redoing the front stretch. So it's going to be interesting to see when these first races happen in April, how this all looks. I know they've been pumping a lot of money into rehabbing the old girl. So if you have a chance to go an hour north of Milwaukee and see a race, doesn't matter if it's a club race or a pro race, it is easily the track. I tell people, if you need to get to a track that's not the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the States, you need to get yourself to Road America. They've done so much in the past several years to improve the fan experience. We are a couple other cars deciding to take laps as well. As we got a hamburger car, Nathan Warda with a 208.394. It's interesting, Tristan, what some of these drivers will come up with for their paint schemes. I mean, you just go up and down trading paints, and there are some very interesting liveries out there.
100%. I mean, you could even ask Jim in the background. I'm quite a livery connoisseur. I'm very, very attained to how some of the liveries around track work, and I always feel like in every single series we talk over, there should be some form of livery prize pool, because lots of these liveries do take a lot of time to make, whether it's made by the actual driver or, somebody else from trading paint. It is still, it's been made by someone and it's taken a lot of work. I mean, this burger, as you can see, going around track, spilling sauce all over the place, wasn't just made in a quick overdo. It probably took quite a bit of time. And now, greasing up the track. Let's hope he doesn't spill oil over anyway. He might cook a couple of patties behind him. But Mr. Nathan Warda, unfortunately, a little bit off pace, if you have to ask me, Jeremy. I mean, about 3 seconds behind the likes of Cameron Kuehl up in 12th position. That's just up ahead in the team's division. So Nathan Warda struggling a bit, but qualifying has officially reached the 20 minutes on the clock. And we'll go through a short 3-minute interlude before we head to that main 40-minute race. Now, a big thing with that 40-minute race is there is no mandatory pit stop. I did see that all drivers will have one fast repair available in case, something does go wrong. And unfortunately, sometimes it does go wrong, especially down into turn 1. But there is no mandatory pit stops here for fuel ups or tire changes. So that element of strategy will be slightly out of the door, which means that pure pace is going to be utmost important in a race like this.
Going through the YouTube chat, Joe Hallman's livery is on fire, says Jay Duarte Miller. I wonder who designed that one. I tip my hat to his livery maker. And Kellymoss Inc. saying on that chat, love the idea of a livery prize. See, you're onto something, Tristan.
There we go.
Basically, hop on the YouTube chat if you have a question for Tristan or myself. We will try our best to answer it. And look, Nathan Waters out there. I'm actually a little disappointed that there's no brat livery, with there being Johnsonville 5-10 minutes down the road, and the Sargento factory 5 minutes down the road.
Very interesting stuff indeed. But looks like we are still in a bit of a warm-up phase right now. The Berg is currently out on track. I believe him and Blake McGovern, the only two out on track. Again, another stunning livery. My goodness. I love the vibrancies on these Porsches, especially... I keep forgetting it's the Rexy livery. You know, I'm surprised we don't have a Rexy out here, or the skeleton one. We've seen them in a couple of the other series, but this is still a very similar style. I like the Dayglow green, and then the more baseline grass style green color on that Porsche. Very, very much so does highlight its very nice features on that Porsche. It's a unique body style, and I mean, I guess it's also why Kellymoss picked such a great manufacturer to run with. I mean, Porsche has always just been one of that that unique car, a completely different engine placement as well compared to your other race cars. It's in the GT3 calendar, the only car with that 100% rear engine in terms of placement. The rest of the cars run a bit of a mid-engine, and then obviously also the front engine cars like the BMWs and the Mustangs. But the Porsche, the only cars to run 100% rear engine, and it does completely change how the car feels in terms of braking and rotation. So it plays into the factor of how you like your cars to be driven. Unfortunately, in this, well, unfortunately, because the Porsches are still a fantastic car here at Kellymoss, but it is your only choice in a series like this, with obviously Kellymoss being Porsche connoisseurs at their best. But still in a bit of a warm-up here. We've got about 10 seconds left before we head to that main race. But I've got to tell you, Jeremy, I'm quite excited to see what the drivers can do here, especially with all those divisions stacked up together.
Well, you take back, you mentioned the history of Kellymoss, and, you got to stop and figure, too, that, Andy Victoria, they run a very fantastic facility in the central Wisconsin area, and they really keep that Porsche spirit alive as the Checkered Flag comes out. Nobody really logged a time because it's just so long. 4 miles is a big length to really cover out there, so just get out there, warm up your minds as drivers are starting to hit the grid for this 40-minute race. You see them on the front straightaway building up. Take a look at the grid. Aaron Johnsong, your pole sitter with a 203.062. He'll be alongside Joseph Holman, so he'll be a pro and a club member on row 1. Row 2, it's all team. Ted Burns will be alongside Carl Lemkool in that row. Blake McGovern in the 24 will be alongside Anthony Costello in the number 42. It's a battle of the voices on row 4. Ryan Marine and Peter McKay make up that row side by side. Mac Fleerman and Donnie Leonard will round out your top 10. If you take a look at 11th and 12th, it's Jacob Harder and Cameron Cool. Moving on to row number 7, Caden Kelly and Griff Ashplunth. Both of those drivers did not log too much time. Going to be interesting to see if they can move up through the field. And shotgun on the field is going to be Nathan Ward. So 15 cars for this 40-minute event. And no surprise here, our Porsche safety car will be leading the field through this formation lap.
Indeed. And you'll see the cars now trying to get themselves nice and warm through this formation lap. We might see a bit of brake dragging going on to get all the tire and the rim nice and warm, especially when it comes down to that braking zone for turn number 1. But we've also got some interesting things. Caden Kelly, like we just saw him on that leaderboard, he actually goes to Porsche Carrera Cup this year for 2026 for Kellymoss Racing. And so he's got quite a lot to prove. He is unfortunately a little bit further down on the backside of the grid for the pro class, but it also means there's a lot of positions up for grabs. Maybe he's a hungry lion today, but wanting to, claim a couple of spots from the back end. Also, Mr. I believe it's I've just forgot what it is. It's a Carl Lemkool. So Carl Lemkool, also a full-time engineer for the likes of Kellymoss. And I mean, he's been here since 2022, just providing insane amounts of efficiency and insight to the team. And here he is today, trying to threaten the pack on the first round here of the Kellymoss X Club Championship. And obviously, he sits second in that team division, obviously fourth overall. And as you can see him highlighted again, another stunning livery. I like that mix of blue and purple on the backside. That black livery just up in front, Ted Burns, also very aggressive looking Porsche livery, I've got to say. Quite a scary thing to see in your rearview mirrors. But thankfully, he sits right at the top of his team class. And I believe how the point standing works in this league is that the points are 100% division based. So whether you're, 7th overall, if you come first in your class, that's still going to be the maximum amount of points for you. So, good amount of points up for grabs for all the drivers leading each class, especially in the team division, because it's got the most amount of drivers here, about 8 or so drivers, 7 drivers total, and in the pro having about 4 drivers. But we are ever so shortly coming towards the end of that formation lap. You can see the drivers are slowly starting to get nice and warm. You can see the zigzagging, the left and right. A common exercise, done in basically every form of motorsport out there, trying to get a little bit of air through the entire car's under tray, and also just making sure that the tires are nice and scrubbed and warmed up for all the racing action that's about to go on, because they'll be racing at a much higher speed than what they're strolling at right now. But cannot wait to see what goes on. Turn 1, I believe, is going to be quite an interesting one.
It really will. Turn 1, turn 5, to your hot spots there, and again, tiptoe their way through turn 7 as well, because turn 8 will be a little bit of mayhem because you're going downhill and having to set yourself up. Phil working their way through the kink for the final time under this formation lap, as you are on board with Aaron Johnson, who will be taking the inside line going through turn 1. He'll have that great advantage as the field, as everybody's starting to pair up on the backside of the racetrack. Glad to have you with us here on the Kellymoss YouTube channel. Real quick, Flea McBaggins reminding me that Haribo is right down the way as well. Yeah, that's right across the state border. If you're coming from Illinois on I-4194, they got a big Haribo building that has the logo and the big bear there. So you really can't miss it as you're driving down the interstate. Look at the field coming through the Bill Mitchell Bend as we are nice and tight. Oh, that race director is really going to love that as they work their way through turn number 13 and set up for 14. They'll have 40 minutes of racing to sort themselves out to see who's going to win each class here at Road America. It's the first time the club iRacing Championship has taken place. Pace car has pulled off. It's Johnson. It's Holman coming up the hill. Glad to have you with us, and thanks for joining us. We hope we're in for a good time. Field starts to pick up speed. We're green here at Road America, still side by side with everybody, but Johnson gets a good jump. You see Holman gets right back in line. Battle for third. Heats up between Lemcool and Burns. Burns will fall back just a little bit. So far, so good, as we're too wide for the most part in turn 1. Kind of sketchy, but nonetheless, everybody makes it through with no problem. Your top 5, top 6 all get into single file formation, but Johnson showing why he is the ultimate pro. He's opened up a lead of about 3 to 4 car lengths already.
Yeah, incredible stuff there from Johnson. I mean, he had a great pull off there, managed to get neatly ahead there of Holman, and uncontested, if you have to ask me. Holman was forced backwards into forming back into the train. He did not have an opportunity to get past our pro driver, and now this is his objective: try and pull away as fast as possible from that pack behind. You can see he's slowly starting to create a bit of a gap there from Holman, and just behind them, Burns and Lemcoll. We saw that Burns just up on the inside line there of turn number 1. He did thankfully managed to keep it nice and clean, and he has actually claimed that first spot. Well, he actually started in that first spot for the team division, but he was able to hold it. Lemcoll did contested in that first corner, but nonetheless, an incredible start to this race. No form of contact whatsoever, which is what we love to see here. Kellymoss standards really starting to show and shine through all the drivers over here. A little bit further behind the likes of Donnie Leonard, still trying to fight hard with Jacob Harter just up in front, and Nathan Warder will be slightly a bit further behind. Obviously, we've got Caden Kelly and Griff Asplund from 12th and 13th in the pro division, just a bit behind him. The Burger car slightly further behind in 14th, and then we have Cameron Cool down in 15th. He's currently trying to contest that burger car. He's got lots of sauce all over his windshield. He's got to watch out for it, but he does pull alongside, gets out of that dirty air. I don't even know if you can call it dirty air. I would call it oily air, but manages to tuck back in. Again, another fantastic livery. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it every single time, Jeremy. It's going to get annoying, but I mean, that color scheme with the teal and stuff, just absolutely splendid. Again, Joseph Holman, also a lovely livery. Like loads of good color choices out here on the grid, but loads of fighting action, side-by-side Porsches up towards turn number 1. That was a great first lap, if you have to ask me.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and no surprise, lots of great drivers. You're watching this battle for position with Jacob Harder trying to watch an interested spectator in this Donnie Leonard, Caden Kelly battle as they work their way down into turn number 3. So still lots to play for, in spite of it being out-of-class battles. This is probably the tightest battle we have on the course, as looks like Kelly's trying to go side by side there with Harder as they work their way down into turn number 5. And indeed, that is Caden Kelly in the number 88. And Kelly has that advantage of the tighter line going in there. And you're going to see a lot of that, especially through turn number 5. If you're just new and fresh to watching racing around Road America, a lot of drivers will try that low line, or they'll try and defend by using the high line over those drivers' right rumble strips. But Caden Kelly slowly working his way up through the field as he is up 2 from his grid position. However, Harder's not going to let him have it that easy. There's Joseph Holman as you're on board with him coming off of the carousel. I'll tell you what, that car of Aaron Johnson, the number 25, just keeps getting smaller and smaller the further along that we go into this race. In fact, Johnson with a 2:10.058, that's the fastest lap of the race so far. 6:46 run by Joseph Holman. But something that you and I noted, Tristan, in the practice session, Holman was just quick and quick and quick. But I did see Johnson show up for practice, and I went to you, I said, wait for Aaron to get out there, because I don't think Holman's advantage is going to be as big as we thought.
No, definitely not. Like we mentioned, Holman obviously coming from a bit of a Gran Turismo background, and I think he's also got quite a lot of airtime here on the iRacing platform, but obviously Johnson will have that real-life experience coming from the pro team for Kellymoss. And like you mentioned, as he continues to go around track and just form a little bit of a consistency barrier against Holman, he is slowly going to start to pull away. Or, you know, just stay ahead and show that real-life defensive skill. We'll have to wait and see. But a little bit further behind, Blake McGovern is down in 6th position, and he's still trying to fight. A bit of a word, though, for all those in the virtual grandstand, which is the commentary box. Just when you're trying to read the timing tower, make sure you have a look at the white block next to each driver's name, because the drivers are not necessarily driving for position if they're right next to each other on that leaderboard. You can see it, for example, with Ted Burns, Carl Lemcol, and then the likes of Maxwell Fleerman. So currently 3rd, 4th, and then 8th position for Fleerman. So make sure you do pay attention to those numbers on the left-hand side, because that does represent track position. So, for example, you can see currently, this is Caden Kelly. He's not fighting with McGovern up in front. That would be 11th of Harter in the team category. So Jacob Harter just up in 11th position. Also, great livery up in front. And so they're currently fighting. It's the 88 versus the number 67. And the pro driver has been shunted backwards by Harter, and he now needs to try and recover that spot that he has unfortunately lost to the driver. And there's his chance, because Harter makes a slight mistake on that exit. It's now side by side. It's actually a complete claymore there by Caden Kelly. And once again, up in front, 2 positions up into 11th he will go, trying to chase down now on the rest of his pro drivers. It is quite a distance, though, to the likes of Blake McGovern. It's about a 5-position difference between the next driver in class, but everybody behind him currently in different classes. He's still going to have to push on strong in his purple and pink Porsche 911. We'll have to see how that works out for him, but as they continue to progress around track, I mean, you can see Harter is hungry to take that position back. He knows the mistake he's made. Further behind, though, Anthony Castillo is fighting up in 5th, and he's just got behind him that 6th position of Blake McGovern. And a little bit of a tail flick there for that black Porsche. Got a little bit slippery on the exit there of turn number 14, but thankfully managed to keep it nice and clean. Now with Carl Lemcol, he's up in 4th position for the team, and trying to chase on to the back of the side of Ted Burns, that black Porsche 911, who he was not able to take at the start of the race. Maybe he can take it in the next couple of laps. We'll have to see if he can build up enough speed.
And the car that had the fishtail moment, turn 14, was Ryan Marine in the 1. He's the interested spectator in that battle. But, John Song just doing all he can to try and open up a bigger and bigger gap from Joseph Holman. And at that point, he wonders if he can just back himself up to Ted Burns. And he is indeed close to that, as Holman now has to worry about the crew member there in the number 81. There's John Song going around turn number 6. Here's, Holman now will have to play defense over Ted Burns, working their way around turn number 7. 1 to 2 car lengths. Holman has that advantage. Of course, Burns methodically and slowly running lap times that are close, if not faster, than the number. You're watching the entry through the carousel. One thing I was going to point out too, the longer that we get into this race, the more those marbles are going to start to kind of maybe play just a little bit of a part there in the carousel. We see it during any sort of race at Road America, how big the marbles play into this any event. And you see also the dirt coming off of the kink. That could pose an issue there as well. Deep into Canada corner, working their way around, just a little bit of a wiggle there off of Holman. We'll see if that harms them coming through turn number 14, but Burns also gets a wiggle through 13, which usually is normal for these cars, as they'll go through that undulation there in 13. You are going up, so the car kind of loses a little bit of weight, and now we go through the uphill and into the straightaway, and you're going uphill from 12 until about this point right here. So still, if you're up front, you might be able to get just a little bit bigger gap. You see 267 kilometers an hour top speed heading into turn number 1. So lots of speed carried here. And here's what's interesting too, Tristan. Ted Burns is outside of the draft of Holman. So that little mistake there in 13, that cost Burns.
Yeah, definitely. You can see he is slowly starting to lose it a bit. Now 5/10, he's now broken back into that 5/10 barrier, but he's going to have to work hard to try and get up towards Holman. Holman is chasing onto the backside of Johnson, but Burns obviously does also want that. A little bit further behind, though, Anthony Castillo currently fighting with what looks to be up and fit. That's the likes of Blake McGovern in his green Porsche 911, and just a little bit further behind them in 7th is obviously Ryan Marine, who we did see have a little bit of that tail whip moment. He looks like he's all good, though, and continuing to race in the action here. But another thing we could also mention in terms of things that could possibly play out in this race is obviously there is no mandatory pit stop that the drivers have to do, meaning that the ultimate choice for these drivers is that they do not want to head into that pit lane and waste time. So towards the end of this 40-minute race, we might start to see a little bit more mistakes start to happen, especially as those tires do start to wear off. We're looking at, in normal GT3 endurance circumstances, these cars can do a stint of about an hour and 20, an hour and 15 minutes or so, obviously depending on track layout. So we're looking at about 40 minutes, it's about 20 minutes almost towards the hour. And so those tires will slowly start to wear. I don't think it's going to be too gradual to the point where it'll be undrivable, but it definitely will be definitely feelable in the driver's pedals and what it would normally feel like in real life. Obviously, in this, they'll have to just feel it through the force feedback of their steering wheels, but it's still going to be one that they have to watch out for. Peter McKay, he's in a bit of a sandwich here between the likes of Ryan Marine, who's just up in front, but in 8th is obviously Fleerman, and then the likes of Leonard just a bit further behind. So 2 team drivers squishing up the renowned commentator and broadcaster. He's currently trapped the Martini driver, but he will eventually find his way out. You can see he's starting to hightail on the backside now and looking to try and find a way around the inside right-hand side of Fleerman. Will it happen down towards turn 1? I don't think he's going to take too much of a risk here. No. He doesn't want to throw away his race due to one silly mistake like that. He does decide to pull that Porsche out. So we'll have to see it, but now 10 minutes in, now 1 full quarter finish, and a very, very close moment there with Leonard and McKay. That almost was contact.
Yeah, Leonard did not like that whatsoever. You're watching off the back as Leonard trying to flash the lights, distract McKay. I think McKay probably waited, hemmed and hawed too much. He probably could have waited there going into turn number 1. Here comes Leonard deep on the brakes. They're side by side. Oh, they lean on one another, and Leonard uses the hip check and gets McKay out of the way. So McKay falls back to 10th, and Leonard now sets his sights on Fleerman for that 8th spot. Of course, that is actually going to be for the bottom step of the podium in the team category. However, because of that waiting, he lost several car lengths to his fellow team compatriot. As we take a look at a replay, watch this. So they're really close to each other coming off of turn number 4. And McKay, to his credit, had a nice defensive move, but Leonard deep on the brakes, and I just think he was wrong place, wrong time, and McKay just a victim of somebody who was in the axis of danger.
Yeah, definitely. So I would call that a bit of a racing incident. It was a good dive from the likes of Leonard, but I think the corner was just closing quite rapidly over there. It wasn't too much of an incident. There wasn't any spinning involved, but obviously there was a little bit of door-to-door rubbing. And like you mentioned, even though Leonard has gotten past, he's now quite a bit of a distance away from Fleerman. He's going to have to work hard to try and fight back up. But now on board with Caden Kelly, our pro driver who goes to the Porsche Carrera Cup for 2026. He's currently chasing down in 12th position. He's still got Harter up in front. The two of them have been driving together now for the first quarter of this race, and it looks like it's going to continue this in the same pattern for the second quarter as they continue in the exact same motion as they keep on going. But this is a little bit of an incident that happened to Kelly, which we possibly could have saw. So he actually got ahead of Carter yet again. Looks like he's lost out. So this is coming through one of the right-handers. Unfortunately, you can't see it too well, but completely, as I mentioned in that onboard lap in qualifying, just completely eating that gravel trap. And as you can see, how much it really does throw these cars off, especially with their low ride height, and completely chucking him off the left side of the circuit. That's a very quick and easy overtake there for Harter, and he moves back up into 11th position. So Kelly will have to fight for that one, but Asplund is a little bit further behind in 13th in his orange Porsche, so he does have to watch out for that. And then just behind him, obviously, is actually a driver who is actually Cameron Kuehl down in 14th position. But back up towards the top, Joseph Holman is unfortunately 2 seconds behind Johnson. And I mean, Jeremy, we've just been seeing that gap extend lap by lap. And Johnson, like you mentioned, after getting quite comfortable in the rhythm of this race, has completely towed away now. And look who's just behind Holman. It's Burns, now 7/10 behind Holman. And he could possibly get into that stream in the next coming laps. And we could possibly see a change for that second spot of the podium.
Burns, the data engineer, trying to size up Holman. Now, I could make a joke and say that, Holman might want to let him by for maybe just a little bit more help this season, but being a club member, Holman doesn't really have to worry about that. But that sim racing experience really coming into play for the former NCAA basketball standout. Looking at the last time by, Johnson lowered that best time again by a couple tenths of a second, 2:03.443. Let's see what he does this next time by as he just crosses the line once again and does not 2:03.401. So my bet is right now probably capped a 0x, 1x somewhere along the line, probably right there. As you can tell, the number 25 on the ragged edge. Aaron, as we said, newer to the Porsche format, took his first overall win at Indy and Porsche Carrera Cup North America and remained on the podium every race thereafter. He'll actually be running the Racing for Children's livery in 2026. If you've not seen that, it is the white over green livery that has kids' handsprits on it. And, I had the opportunity to call it in Porsche Sprint Challenge a couple years ago at the Barber Motorsports Park. And it's a very iconic livery within Porsche North America these days. So an honor for Aaron to be able to run it. Here's a battle for 13th with Griff Asplund and Cameron Kuehl. You're watching off of Cameron Kuehl's right front, and look at how close that Cam is to Griff's back end there through turn number 6. And you see that back end right now of Griff not too happy in that number 7, but he's able to open up just a little bit of a gap through the turn number 7 kink. Let's see what they can do through turn number 8 as Kuehl closes in within a car length or two. And now this is what's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen through here, as some drivers, they'll take a higher line through the carousel and see if and kind of sacrifice that exit a little bit so they can get a better run through the kink. Does not help Asplund that much, as he's going to lose a couple tenths of a car length to Kuehl going down into Canada corner. Let's watch and see if Kuehl can close in, and indeed he does. A little bit of a wiggle out of the number 7.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there actually from the likes of Asplund up in 13th position. But before I'm going to talk a little bit about the fuel loading here on these Porsche 911s. I just wanted to mention something I found quite funny. Cameron Cool surname, right? It represents something cool. Does this car not just make your mouth feel all minty? Like it's a bit of bit of a link together. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I need me some gum or something, some menthol gum while I'm talking over this. But talking about these cars, especially as we progress through this race, or as it gets closer yet again between Harter and Kelly. But as this race continues, as we're about to finish the second quarter, we'll talk about it just now because this is side by side. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there between Harter and Kelly. But Kelly once again up in front. The pro driver claims his spot from the team driver of Harter. But as this race does start to progress a bit further, we're about to finish that second quarter of this 4-quarter 40-minute race. That fuel load is going to start to become slightly lighter. And if you've ever driven the Porsches, whether it's an iRacing platform or ACC or any of the different simulators, you'll know that the Porsche in general has been referred to as quite a playful car, especially with that rear engine placement. And when that fuel tank starts to get light, obviously it means that the car gets lighter. I mean, a good 30 or 40 kilograms lighter when it gets to the end of its fuel tank stint. And that really does change how these cars drive. Obviously, a lot more top speed because they're not carrying as much weight around track. But it also does affect how the drivers have to take the specific corners, especially when it comes to braking. It completely changes up. And they might even have to adjust brake bias according to what that fuel tank is at, just to try and keep that car nice and balanced out. Considering that additionally with tire wear, so they have to watch out a little bit. But Carl Lemcol getting a little bit dicey on the outside there of the sand. Thankfully, the number 5 of McGovern wasn't in an attacking state, because if he was just ever so slightly behind, that would have been a quick overtake. But Lemcol still keeps it. He did lose a little bit of time now to McGovern. And as you can see, McGovern now just about 3/10 going up the hill out of turn number 14 up towards turn number 1. And as he slowly starts to approach, we'll go on board in his cockpit to see if he is gaining anything here. It's going to get very close between the two. I mean, you can see it's bumper to bumper. He does look on the inside line to see if there's maybe an opportunity. But into turn number 1, it isn't the sharpest corner, so it does open up quite widely. And as we mentioned early on in this race, we do have our common attacking point. So turn number 5 is going to be your common attacking point here down at the bottom of Moraine's sweep. So keep your eyes peeled for this, because here we go down towards turn number 4 and number 5. Could this possibly be a dive for Blake McGovern? Is he close enough to come up onto the inside line of the likes of P number 4 of Lemcol? It doesn't look like it may be. Lemcol's going defensive on the inside, forcing him outside. It's a switchback, but just not enough for McGovern to get up in front, and he does stay behind. It's great defensive movement there from Lemcol to keep himself up in 4th. And this is going to be quite an action-packed fight here between McGovern and Lemcol. So keep your eyes peeled between these two over the next 2 quarters of this race, because it's just going to escalate further with the fuel tank dropping and the tire wear.
McGovern doing all he can to stay in the mirrors of Lemcol. Again, this is not a battle for position overall. It's an overall position battle, but it's more out-of-class battle between McGovern and Lemcol. Both of these drivers are second place in the pro class. Another great spot to see where they're going to pass is coming up here through at the end of Kettle Bottoms. And oh, look at that, McGovern able to close in on Lemcol through turn 11 and sets up for 11B. Too far away from McGovern to make anything happen as of yet, but the number 24, I should say. I'm so used to Johnstone being around the 24 number, but 24 of McGovern still making his presence known, making that lime green bigger and bigger in the mirrors of the number 95 of Lemcol. Here we go once again up the hill. I think he might be too far away to try an early pass. If anything, he's going to try a later pass. You see that gap closing and closing ever so slightly across the line. We're past halfway in this race, and McGovern going to look to the inside, but still about a car length too far away to make anything happen. When it comes to turn 1 and turn 5, you really need to make sure that you're right up under that rear wing of whatever car you want to pass. So McGovern going to try and gain some speed through turn number 3. He's within the draft right now, but Lemcool opening up that gap a little bit, but now here comes McGovern closing in that gap ever so slightly, coming off of 4. And McGovern's going to have to work for it as Lemcool dives to the outside. They're side by side, but Lemcool gets back on the gas quickly through turn 5. He's going to keep that position for the time being.
Little bit of sand there from Lemcool, but great recovery to keep himself neatly ahead there. It was looking a little bit hectic there up on the inside of that corner because McGovern was slowly starting to claim the space, but Lemcool kept his absolute cooler on the outside and managed to keep his total average speed up, and that is indeed what shut McGovern down on that attack. And like you mentioned, very aggressive pull-off from the exit of that corner, and that was just a quick and easy way to keep himself in the lead. And as you can see, he's already back to 5/10 away from McGovern, and around about past the 5/10 mark is where that draft starts to disappear. And so if he can pull away, unfortunately it's not happening too much. You can see that McGovern is slowly starting to break into that slipstream. It's now almost down to 2/10 of a distance between each other as they come down that back straight. But we'll have to see what happens between the two. Blake McGovern, oh, that's actually slightly wide there for Lemcool. He's completely sacrificed that slight bit of gap that he had, the number 95, now under the most amount of pressure he's probably been in from Blake McGovern in the past couple of laps. And so Blake, this is his time now to attack. Even more sand being taken on there by Lemcool. And as you can see, the green mamba slowly starting to catch even further. That front bumper becoming slowly more and more detailed. And this might be the chance down towards turn number 1. It's looking good now for the likes of McGovern. It's side by side. It's a great aerial cam to see how the action goes down. And it is fully side by side. He cannot take that space away from McGovern and gets forced out slightly wide. The next corner is inside yet again for McGovern, and it looks like he might be able to hold this depending on Lemcool's actions, but it is indeed McGovern takes that. And I mean, what an aggressive but well-maintained overtake there from McGovern.
But will we see the over-under? By the way, look who else has come to play too. Anthony Castillo coming ever so slightly. Let's see if Lemcool has to go around and he's not going to make anything happen. He's just going to sit there and bide his time. Of course, still plenty of time, plenty of racing left to go here at Road America as the field working their way again through turn number 6. There's Castillo sitting there in 6th place overall. The interested spectator, he gained a little bit of time, but then again, he lost a little bit of time. You see the 2 cars ahead of him in Lemcool and McGovern around turn number 8. And now McGovern's going to open up that gap just a little bit more through the carousel. About 2 to 3 car lengths separates the two from each other. And we're just slowly making our way around the carousel. You see Castillo doing all he can to keep those 2 cars in sight. But Tristan, I have a strange feeling that this battle is going to heat up even more. And have we gotten to the point where we're starting to... no, that's actually the battle between Ryan Marine in 7th and Donnie Leonard in 8th. So Leonard is caught up to Marine for overall position. But Leonard sits at the bottom step of the team podium. He wants to get a little bit more breathing room between he and Fleerman, who's not too far away. You start to see him. You'll see him pop up here in just a little bit. There he is coming around turn number 13. But now Leonard is well within that the draft zone of Marine as Ryan's going to do all he can to hold back that red, white, and blue liveried Porsche coming down the front straightaway, the number 26, too far away to make anything happen. So once again, they will work their way around to turn number 1. If anybody knows about drafting in a race car, it's Ryan Marine. He and his dad, actually, when I was a young announcer, he and his dad were racing in the NASA Midwest Great Lakes Series, sharing a spec Miata.
Yeah, it's a great fight between the two of them, but we did unfortunately see, I believe, Leonard getting a little bit aggressive on the sand there on the exit of turn number 14, and that did extend the gap between the two of them slightly. He was just on the backside, but thankfully he has managed to recover it. Oh, he gets very close on that lunge. That was looking like a potential dive up on the inside, but a little bit too far away to make anything like that count. Fleerman, as you can see, is getting closer and closer, and he's now 2.2 seconds away. But a battle that we unfortunately aren't talking about anymore is the battle for first, because Johnson is 4.2 seconds ahead now of Joseph Holman. So unfortunately, Nothing Holman can do at this point unless there's a mistake made by Johnson. Remember, there's no mandatory pit stops in this race, and it means that Holman doesn't have any form of strategy advantage or any form of undercut or overcut that he could possibly play on Johnson. So for the time being, if Johnson keeps his cool over here in his Porsche and manages that fuel drop off, he is definitely going to be 8 for away for the first win here at the Kellymoss X Club Championship. We'll have to wait and see though how that works out. You can see they're basically a corner distance away from each other. Joseph Holman, you can see just up at the top of the straight there is Johnson, but Holman still quite a bit of a distance away. And that track between them is a track that Holman definitely has to make up for, 4.4 seconds, but it's not going to be an easy one. Both identical cars, both fixed setup cars, which means that there's not going to be any form of setup differentiation. It's all going to come down to driver skill. And unfortunately, Johnson, showing that real life experience right now, has managed to pull that gap. But I mean, it is what we predicted, Jeremy. I mean, we predicted that after a couple of laps, he was really going to start getting comfortable in that car and pull completely away. But here's again Leonard just on the backside of Marine. We could possibly see an overtake in the next coming laps.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Leonard can close in on Marine. And yeah, no surprise, we see Johnson really move up, open that gap. Oh, heavy on the brakes is Leonard going into turn number 3. And that could be the setup that he needed. Let's see how Marine makes that number 1 as going into turn number 5. Leonard making all the uses that he can of trying to catch up into that draft. Does he pop out? He's too far away for any sort of pass, so no, not there, as both drivers making their way through. Oh, Marine with a little bit of a kick up of gravel there. Oh, hard on the brakes Marine is. Almost ends up having Leonard in his engine compartment, but still able to make something happen. Let's see if Leonard can take advantage of that little slip up by Marine, looking right, looking left, decided to go back into the racing line as Marine has opened up a 2-car length gap going through turn number 8, now into turn number 9. Still plenty of time, no need to rush, no need to worry about I need to make this pass now. But I've got to say this, Leonard, his car does not look happy coming around the carousel through the kink. As the number 1 of Marine opens up a bigger gap. Granted, he's got a massive lead over Peter McKay for that battle for the VIP class. It's about 6 seconds separating the 2 drivers. So right now, the Radio Le Mans battle, or IMSA Radio battle, I should say, Marine with the advantage through that stretch, making his way through 13. Here's Jacob Harder closing in on Caden Kelly. These two have been locked horns all race long. And Caden Kelly, of course, one of the 2 drivers who has made up the most ground in this race, the other being Donnie Leonard with 2 spots. And Tris, as you know, Road America is very tough to really make any sort of pass unless you start near the back and then make your way up through the front. But regardless, Harder within that draft zone will hang here for just a little bit. As Caden Kelly, plenty of races in the USAC Porsche Sprint Challenge and Porsche Endurance Challenge, knows how these cars work in the draft, but Harder going to try and see if anything can happen, closes in within 1 car length. Not going to make it happen this time by.
Yeah, it was a good pull off there from Kelly just coming out of turn number 1. You can see he's trying to keep that average distance quite high between the 2 of them. And like you mentioned, it has been quite a difficult circuit here to overtake. Seems like most of our overtaking opportunities have come from driver error, where a driver just steps a foot into that gravel and loses a lot of their top end. And for the time being, Jacob Harder, he's not been able to get past the likes of Kelly yet again. Remember, he was past Kelly a couple of laps ago, but again, it was from driver error from Kelly going off a little bit into the sand. So if Kelly does perform the same action, there we see Harder touching the back right, but not affecting the car just a little bit too much. A little bit further up in front, though, we still got Blake McGovern, 4th position. He's currently trying to chase down on that final podium spot of the likes of Ted Burns, but that gap is looking rather unsatisfactory. 9.8 seconds between McGovern and Burns. So that's going to be quite a chase for him, and I don't think he's going to have enough time. We have finally reached our final quarter here of this 40-minute race. 10 minutes left of racing. 15 laps has passed us, but this final 10 minutes is where it's all going to count. The fuel tank is going to start to feel light, and I believe we did have one of our YouTube members actually giving a good explanation as to how the car will feel. The Porsche 911, its fuel cells sit right behind the front tires, or Peter McKay making a nice position up on the inside of Fleerman, and looks like he's going to make it stick in his Martini. Great overtake there from Peter McKay. but the fuel cells in the Porsche 911 sit right behind the front tires. And so when that fuel tank does start to get light, the entire chassis of the car will begin to understeer, as described by some of our YouTube members. Thank you to Flea McBaggins for that one. Appreciate the guidance on that. But we've still got quite a lot of action to go with, and we just saw Peter McKay making yet another improvement on his total position out on track. Unfortunately, he doesn't move up in his class because Ryan Marine is quite a bit of a distance up ahead, 4.7 seconds for the likes of Peter McKay, and that's 4.7 seconds to Leonard, and then Leonard is obviously just on the backside of Marine. So they're all fighting quite hard right now to keep these positions up for the last 10 minutes of racing. But for Johnson, very, very dominant lead in this race, and he's pulled the gap to over 5.5 seconds now. Side by side still, Maxwell Fleerman trying to get back on the backside of Peter McKay and gain that position back. Is it going to be enough, though? In the next time, he goes on the outside, and that might get a little bit dirty, but thankfully, no contact between the two.
No, but I've got to say this, Fleerman going to try and stay on the back of McKay. That was an absolute challenge of a pass, and on a good day, I don't know if that would really work through there. You see the battle up ahead as well between Marine and Leonard. So interesting battle. Whoa, with a little bit of front end wiggle. That's a little strange. And now that we mentioned that is a byproduct of the lessening weight that these cars are now carrying with the fuel load going away through the pack. So now Leonard, Fleerman, because of that little bobble there going through turn number 8, has lost a lot of ground to McKay, as McKay now has the fire lit under him, as he was able to see up ahead that Ryan's in a battle right there between he and Leonard, as we're looking at this McGovern battle as well. It's Blake McGovern, Carl Lemkool, who've been locked horns for most of the race as well. Lemkool just a little bit further away, but I've got to say this, McGovern, with a fantastic pass, able to hold on to that 4th place overall, still second in pro, but he's also, as we take a look at the gap, good 18 seconds behind Zhang Song, working lap number 16. So barring any sort of issue, I think he's going to be quite content with standing on that second step of the podium. But now we see Lemkool closing in on McGovern for that 4th place overall. You're watching out of the back of the SimLab Porsche, heading down into turn 5, and it'd be a hope and a prayer to make this corner that far back and make the pass. And Lemkool thinks better. Lemkool going to get a good advantage through turn number 5. He's going to close in there side by side through 6, and Lemkool's just going to send it. He makes his way around 6, has McGovern take the high line around 6, but McGovern has the line through turn number 7. They're still side by side. How the heck do you do that there? This is absolutely fantastic stuff, as Lemkool has the advantage to turn number 8. They're still going to be side by side like they're in a formation lap through the carousel. McGovern has the nose out front, but can Lemkool keep in front? No. So that 4 or 5 corner battle turns into a single file once again. Does Lemkool try anything in the kink? He'd be smart not to, and indeed he doesn't, as they're still nose to tail heading into what would be the normal DRS zone. Let's see how close Lemkool makes it. How do you like it through Canada Corner? Well, McGovern goes deep on the brakes, and he loses just a little bit, as Lemkool will get on the back bumper heading through turn number 13. Not much room there to make a pass, but Lemkool has another opportunity at turn 1. He's going to size him up through turn number 14. You see the exhaust fumes coming off of the back of that GT3, but McGovern able to get back on the gas just a little bit earlier than Lemkool, but Lemkool still taking that fishing pole out. He's not going to Elkhart Lake to fish. He's going down the front straightaway. Lemkool might be too far away to make something happen, but he is closing in on that draft. He might look to the inside. Not going to make it happen here. A little bit of a bump there that Lemkool has over McGovern through 1. That gives McGovern a chance to speed up just a little bit coming off of turn 1. Now we'll see what happens in this second braking zone. I'll tell you what, this lap between the two of them has been absolutely fantastic. Where McGovern's good off the corner, it seems that Lemkool has the answer there, but that's going to fall back just a little bit as McGovern gets the better exit and is able to open up a bigger gap, Tristan.
Yeah, that was some great action there. We've got quite a lot of action that happened during this as well. We just saw Harter getting in front of Asplund as that changed up a little bit. Here we go. We see this is even further, though, as I was going to mention as well, Donnie Leonard on Marine. And this is a little bit early on in the battle. So Leonard finally getting past Marine after so much fighting, and quite a easy overtake up in the inside line of Marine. And Leonard's pushing on strong up into 7th place. He goes 3rd position on that podium spot, and he's now put quite a bit of a gap between himself and Maxwell Fleerman, and let's hope he can keep it, because there's only about 4 minutes, actually 3 minutes or so left of racing action here. But a little bit further action, Caden Kelly and the likes of Jacob Harder. Once again, these two have been non-stop, but this is a bit of a replay. So Caden Kelly blips a little bit with the iRacing netcode. And was there a possible change in the next coming corners? Was there a driver error? A little bit wide there for Harder. Was there possibly an overtake? Yeah, the number 88 still up in front. We're still on the replay cam. Was there a dive up onto the inside line here from Harter? We can see he's getting it. There he comes up onto the inside. He does switch back from that outside line, but decides to dive back onto the outside. And so it doesn't actually look like the overtake in this section. Looks like Kelly is going to stay up in front. But still, these two been fighting nonstop. But I got to say, what a great fight that was between McGovern and the likes of Lemcol, and I'm pretty sure it's still going to be going on up until the end of this race. But a little bit further back, Cameron Cool, the minty car, chasing onto the backside of Asplund. And so that's the final driver in the pro class. So it's the second final driver in the team class. Obviously, Asplund, unfortunately, quite a distance away from that podium spot in the pros, but currently fighting with Cameron Cool now, the 13th versus 14th position. There's Caden Kelly and the likes of Harter. Harter now side by side on the outside line. Kelly's going to have the inside. We're going to have the same situation that we had with Blake McGovern and the likes of Carl Lemcol. They're going to be side by side through turn number 1. How long can they tandem, though? And actually pretty short, if you have to ask me, because Harder's already pulled completely ahead of the likes of Caden Kelly, and he's not going to try and contest up on the inside line. So great overtake. Going wide, though, for Harder, and that's going to sacrifice his top speed here. Could this be another position switch around coming towards the bottom of turn number 5? The two of them have been at it the entire race, and with a minute and a half left, this is where you want to try and be in front when you're trying to fight. So now, there we go. The dive up on the inside line. Caden Kelly, great dive up on the inside. And actually a force wide there for the number 67. But it manages to keep his track spot. Caden Kelly will have the inside line up. But the two of them pulling the same moves that McGovern did. Oh, it's completely off for Harder. And Caden Kelly gets that position yet again up in the front of that battle.
Well, if there's one person you don't want to mess with, it's your graphics coordinator, as Harder is going to give up that battle for the time being with under 1 minute left. Johnson will come across the line. It'll be 1 lap to go for him. Oh, look at this McGovern battle once again. It heats up through Canada corner as McGovern doing all he can to keep Lemcool behind him, as it'll be the final lap of racing action. Lemcool closes in on McGovern through 14. Oh, this is going to be nice and spicy for 4 miles. Granted, again, this is for overall position, not class position. Most of your class positions, they've all been settled for the most part, unless something happens. Knock on wood, it doesn't. There's the white flag. 1 lap to go. Let's see if Lemcool has anything for McGovern. Not here through turn number 1. Your leader, Johnson, he's miles ahead of everybody else. In fact, 8 seconds ahead of the next closest car. But Lemcool is trying to keep his cool around turn number 3 in that fantastic blue, pink, and yellow, or even orange livery going down into turn number 4. Nose to tail. Lemcool doesn't have anybody behind him, but McGovern has to keep one eye ahead of him, one eye on the mirrors. He's going to make Lemcool take the hard line around. Not going to happen. We know how good Lemcool is coming off of turn number 5, and indeed he stays within the tire tracks of McGovern through 6, up through 6, less than a car length. Separate the two drivers going through the kink at turn number 7. As you see McGovern opening up just a little bit of a gap. Here comes Lemcool looking to the inside. Too far away to make something happen around turn number 8. As Johnson completing the final quarter of his lap. But we're still watching this battle for 4th place overall. McGovern has opened up a 2-car length gap around the carousel. There's at least 1 more spot, 2 if you're daring to make something happen here. As we said, it's going to be not an opportunity maybe for overall position, you're more concerned about your class position, but the class of the field comes off of turn number 14. Aaron Johnson, no practice, comes in qualifying and completely obliterates the field. Checkered Flag is out. He is your race winner, his first race of many this season. Let's go back to that battle for fourth place between Lemcool and McGovern. McGovern is comfortably there, but for the time being, as both drivers make their way around turn 14, not enough time to make anything happen. Blake McGovern with a stupendous pass in the later stages of the race has taken fourth place overall. Fifth goes to Lemcool. Let's see what other battles that we have here near the end is Ryan Marine trying to close in on Donnie Leonard. Leonard will be third in the team championship so far. Ryan Marine, your VIP winner. Tristan, that was just a lot of great racing there near the end of the race, which no surprise, you get a fixed setup like this, and the driver talent's really going to shine.
Yeah, and I mean, we were sitting at the start of this race with the 15-car grid, thinking we might have to think of some things to fill in here and there in case the action isn't impeccable enough. But I mean, these drivers absolutely blew that out of the water. I mean, so much back and forth action. Harter versus Kelly, McGovern versus Lemcool, Burns versus Holman. I mean, there were so many battles up and down this track. Marine versus Leonard. There was just, I mean, every single driver here was trying to contest for a position, and especially when it mattered the most at the end of the race here, just coming into that finish of that final quarter. Nathan Water, one of the final drivers, the burger car coming across with ketchup all over the front back. He's eaten the whole burger. There's not much left, but thankfully for him, the race is officially over as he comes across the checkered flag, the number 15 slot of the team division, but 15th overall, but about 7th or so in that class. But still, what a great run through there for all of the drivers. And that officially rounds off round number one at Road America for the Kellymoss X Club Championship. I mean, I got to say, Jeremy, what a great race it has been so far. Let's have a look at the results for this race because, as you can see there, Aaron Johnson, 8.5 seconds. My goodness, what an insane leap up towards the top. Joseph Holman takes second, just a bit further behind. Ted Burns takes third from the team category. Then Blake McGovern in fourth. Carl Lemcool, unfortunately, not able to get that spot away from Blake McGovern. Anthony Castillo in sixth with Donnie Leonard in seventh. Ryan Marine will take eighth with Peter McKay in ninth. Maxwell Fleerman will take 10th with Caden Kelly down in 11th. Jacob Carter not able to get that position over Kelly, will finish in 12th. Cameron Cool in 13th with Griffin Esplund in 14th. And Nathan Ward, our final driver in this 15-car grid, down in the final slot, but still top 15. He does make it with a 15-car grid. And overall, great racing here in the 2026 Winter Series at Kellymoss.
Yeah, indeed it is. And we do have a couple of drivers who have decided to join us and be on the other side of the mic. And I will go ahead and grab the first one. He is your pro winner. And of course, well, it'll be a little bit easier on you next time out when you're up in the IMSA radio booth. Ryan Marine, congratulations. And I've always told you, dude, you're going to do well here at Road America. Doesn't matter what car you're in. And I guess I'm right again.
What do you know? Hey, good to talk to you, buddy.
Good to talk to you, buddy. Let's talk about the race. It was, you had some great battles there near the middle and the end of the race.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Donnie was a lot of fun to race with there. He certainly was keeping me on my toes and made just the littlest mistake out of turn 5, and he got a run, and that was pretty much game over from there. I did my best to hang with him for the final couple of laps, but he was definitely the quicker.
Well, that's something that you and I have mentioned off and on. It doesn't matter what series it is at Road America. One real wrong, and that place will bite. And this is, I think this is what the layout from 6-7 years ago, because there's not as much paved runoff as we see now. So what is the difficulty between running this form of Road America and the current iteration?
Well, if you're Aaron Johnson, I don't think it's any more difficult at all. But if you're a lowly human like me, then yeah, it definitely does increase the amount of concentration that's required, right? No margin of error, like you say. If a wheel goes off, then as it did for me, I lost a ton of momentum, and it was a good thing that was all that I lost. So anyway, it is a challenge, no question, but it's such an awesome track, whether it's in the sim or in the real world.
It really is. And of course, we mentioned that you don't think about the Porsches being a momentum car like a car that you're used to running in the spec Miata, but in turn, it kind of is, especially with it being a spec series.
Yeah, it always helps to drive like a momentum car. The few times I've been in a high horsepower car in real life or in the sim, whatever the case may be, yeah, you still can carry some of those characteristics over. And I will say this is a lot more fun of a racetrack in a high horsepower car. I've driven here in Miatas, like you said, quite a bit, and the straightaways just seem to go on forever. But the Porsche certainly rips down the straights a little bit better.
All right, bud, congratulations. I'm going to let you get to race notes, and we'll see you next time out.
Hey, appreciate it, my friend. Good chatting with you. And thanks to Kellymoss and Victoria Thomas and everybody for the invitation. Really enjoyed it.
That's Ryan Marine, the soft, dulcet tones that you hear on a weekly basis. All right, Tristan, let's go ahead and grab our team winner, I should say, Ted Burns in the number 81.
Ted Burns, you are live on the commentary box here at Apex Racing TV. Congratulations on the win there in the team category. I mean, talk us through the race there.
Thanks. It was a long race. Just trying to keep it consistent out there. Two guys up in front were fast. I was trying to follow, but I think I overheated the tires a little bit, fell off, and just kind of settled into a pace to bring it home, and didn't have pressure from behind. But yeah, it was fun. It's always great driving Road America. It's my favorite track, home track. So it was a good time.
Absolutely. And I mean, towards the start of the race, you obviously had a bit of a fight there with Carl Lemkel as you started off out on track. And you managed to obviously squeeze ahead then and claim the win. But how was that, the battling towards the start of the race?
Yeah, Carl really fired off. He had a great start and was trying to hold it around the outside there. So I've raced with Carl a lot. We've been teammates on iRacing for a while, and we work closely together at Kellymoss. So it was great to have some fun with him out there. But he definitely kept me honest and made sure I couldn't make mistakes. It was it was full pusher at the start, and Joseph and Aaron drove a great race out in front. They had no mistakes, so I couldn't capitalize on anything. So that's kind of what I focused on from then on, was just making sure I hit all the marks and didn't give anyone behind an opportunity to jump.
We spoke quite a lot about the tire wear and also the fuel load drop-off towards the end of the race. How did the Porsche start to feel towards the end of the 40-minute stint compared to when you're driving towards the start?
Yeah, at the start, there's so much fuel in the car, it was just sluggish at first. And following so closely to Joseph there for so many laps, it really overheated the front, so the balance kind of went off for the middle 20 minutes of the race. But as it burned off there and it got real light fuel at the end, was able to cool the front tires, the balance became really nice. And those last couple laps, it was back to a lot of fun to drive. It rotated really well, and it was fun. I mean, the spotter was calling out Aaron was going fast there at the end, so I know he was feeling good as well.
Absolutely incredible. But is there anybody you'd like to thank or mention before you hit out the commentary box?
Yeah, I got to thank Victoria and Team Kellymoss for putting this on. It's a lot of fun getting all these different groups of people together and out here on the track and doing something we all enjoy, especially during these winter months. So it was a lot of fun, and a lot of thanks to you guys at Apex for putting on the broadcast. Can't wait to go back and rewatch it.
Absolutely incredible. But thank you again for the interview, and congrats on the first position in class. And we'll see you next week at Road Atlanta.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah, see you guys then.
And that was Mr. Ted Burns, Theodore Burns. And Jeremy, I'll let you pull in whoever you want to.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk to our club member winner. And by the way, Road America, Road Atlanta, I totally get this. It's still all right. Anyway, Joseph Holman, your winner in the club class. And Joseph, I got to say, we saw practice and thought, okay, but wait a second. We still got one pro there. Regardless, you held your own. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And one thing that I want to talk to you about, because I notice a lot of sim racers in the limited commentary that I've done, they credit doing the Gran Turismo championships as their starting point. How much did this help you?
Throughout all of the sim racing that I've gone through so far in my life, it's been exponentially helpful. It's the first thing is it's really easy to just pick up for everyone. Just grab a PlayStation in the game and you can get going. And, the more that you get invested into this, the more, you can really excel.
It seems like it's an easy jump, a starting point. Nonetheless, another question that I really have is not talking racing. We're talking of track days and all that. How much real life experience do you have behind the wheel?
Oh, a lot less than sim racing, that's for sure. A lot less, but it's still fun to take my Toyota GR86 out to just like local tracks and just do little like hot laps and autocrosses around it because it's a fun car to drive.
So how does somebody who was a former NCAA player fit into a Toyota GR86?
Well, I'm not. I'm only 6 foot tall. I could still fit in it, but I'd say anyone above me might have a little bit of an issue.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations. It was an absolute banger of a race and a great way to start the season, to say the least.
Yeah, no.
Oh, before we let you go, my producer's yelling in my ear, what's up with the chicken on your car?
Okay, so first off, the livery that I'm running, hats out to my friend JD Miller. He's a fantastic livery maker on iRacing. He has a bunch of other ones on Trading Paints as well. He's one of my close friends and teammates that I run a bunch of special events on iRacing with as well. And I asked him, could you make me a livery for this? And he has quite an imagination and likes to think of some fun sponsors. So, yeah, I guess shout out to my quote-unquote sponsors, Marm's Chicken Farm Feed and Tackle, Easy Blink, Heavy Duty Blinker Fluid, and Patriot Coffee and Tea Speakeasy.
I'm done. That's neat. All right, let's see what you have next week. We'll see you out there at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you then.
All right, let's we're gonna do something different here, and producer Jim, don't mind me because I want to get both these guys on here. And Tristan, I'm gonna hand it to you. We're gonna bring in both Carl Lemkool and Blake McDonald, Blake McGovern, I should say. I've been wanting to do that all race long. I'm so sorry, Blake, but Tristan, I'm gonna have you talk to these guys because both these guys had a fantastic race for all 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blake and the likes of Carl, I mean, you guys literally lit up the commentary screens for quite some time, and you guys literally put on a show here around Road America. I mean, just talk us through that combined fight from both your sides.
Carl, you want to take it first?
I was going to say Blake goes first because he ended up winning, but sure. No, that was a great time. Glad we could put on a show for everyone. In terms of my class, I didn't have anything for Ted. He had the consistency, and even then, Aaron was another mark above them. But no, it was good, fair racing with Blake. It was nice to have a little bit of contact, be a little shovey, but not too much. So I really enjoyed it. Cheers to Blake and to Kellymoss for putting on the league.
Incredible. Blake, your side?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun racing with Carl. Had a really bad start, almost lost it on the first lap. So I had a little work to do. Just knew it was a long race and wanted to be patient as I worked my way up. Was able to catch up to Carl and kind of just stay on him for a while, and had one chance where I got side by side with him going down the straight. So I figured take the opportunity and kind of did a little dive bomb into the inside, but kept it clean, and then was kind of trying to run away from him and completely overcooked my tires. And so the last 5 laps, I was pretty much just hanging on for dear life, trying to keep him behind me. Got side by side for a few turns and good, fun, clean racing. So it was great.
Incredible stuff. But I mean, one thing to mention, so obviously both of you guys, you work closely all around, Porsches in general. Obviously, Blake, you drive them, and Carl, you obviously work alongside the team there at Kellymoss. But I think one of you guys needs to suggest to Kellymoss to maybe start like a tandem drifting team or something, and then you two need to be the pioneers of it, because I've never seen two guys in a Porsche like side by side for so long. But I mean, still an incredible fight. How did the Porsche feel towards the end of the stint? We've had a couple of drivers let us know, obviously, with the fuel drop off and the tire wear. So, I mean, what was the difference from start to end?
Yeah, on the shorter run, like lap 3 or 4 is kind of that first peak when the tires come in, but you certainly kind of feel it start to come back as the fuel load gets lighter, but the front tires are just kind of cooked off, so you're more managing understeer towards the end, but the ultimate pace is actually quite similar, so it's quite fun. You can be fairly consistent, but it's definitely a challenge to manage the understeer. As you can see, I got caught on the outside of the carousel. That was where I gave up. I was like, I'm going to understeer off the track if I try to fight that off, so just tried to tuck in for a toe, and yeah, it wasn't, you weren't really able to like push super hard, so you had to be very conscious of how you pushed and where you overtook.
Anything from your side, Blake?
Yeah, at the end of the race, the car got light, so I noticed going into the braking zones, you could brake quite a bit later, and the car was getting slowed down. But then at the same time, kind of lost the front end and was getting really bad understeer. So it was kind of playing this balancing game of pushing the braking zones because the car was light and could do it. But then at the same time, making sure I was slowed down enough so that didn't miss my turn in and just push right through the corner, which happened to me a few times.
Incredible. But I mean, it's great to hear the insights from a bunch of drivers of how the car started to feel. But thank you guys so much for your time in the commentary box. Is there anything you guys would like to, say or mention? Anybody you'd like to thank before you head out?
No, cheers to you guys for the commentary and Kellymoss for the league, and great racing again, Blake. Let's do it again next time.
Yeah, same for me. Thank you, Kellymoss. Thank you, Victoria. And thank you, Apex, for putting this on. This is my first time doing a league race on iRacing. Used to doing the official races and just worrying about surviving. So had a lot of fun out there, and look forward to next week.
Incredible stuff. Yeah, Road Atlanta next week, guys. Have a great evening further, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
And real quick, before we wrap it, though, real quick, I want to get Aaron Johnsong in. I want to talk to him. He's finally got back from Milwaukee. Congratulations, bud, on the win. Real quick, a couple thoughts. Fastest lap of the race, pole. What didn't you do?
I got a lot of incident points, so I didn't get a 0-1X race like I see Ted got.
I was gonna say, yeah, because I saw your exit. Every time I'd look off track, I'd see, he's in one. He's in one. He's fine. So, regardless, congratulations. Great start to the season for you. Next week, Road Atlanta. Want to try it again?
Yeah, I want to try it again. Road Atlanta is one of my favorite tracks, and it seems like we have some pretty good competition here with team members, club members, and all the different classes we have. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's get Luke and some of the other guys out there, and I think that would be a fantastic race. Congrats, Aaron. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
All right, that does it for this broadcast. Tristan, like I said, we thought, low car count, but really the amount of talent that we saw here in this series, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see what they can do at Road Atlanta, another great American circuit. And I think, if you've been on the iRacing platform, you've definitely driven it before, whether it's in the GT3s or GT4s or any other class that iRacing picks. And it's one of the really nice tracks to drive on, a nice flow to it as well. So we're really looking forward to what they can do next week at Road Atlanta, the GT3s here, the Porsche 911s. Cannot wait. I mean, like you mentioned, 15 cars definitely proved us wrong yet today.
And again, log on to kellymoss.com for more information on how you can become a club member and more about the team. What a fantastic race that we saw here for the first round. And I think next week's going to be even better because Road Atlanta comes with its own challenges that you don't normally see at Road America, but still, it's a great track for Porsches. For Jim Cunningham back in the booth and my partner Tristan Herbst, I'm Jeremy Scott. Thanks to Apex Racing TV for the production of this broadcast here on the Kellymoss Inc. YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell so when we're about ready to start the club races, you'll know. Keep it between the ditches, keep it greasy, stay down, and always keep it forward. We'll see you next time here on the Kellymoss YouTube channel for round 2 of the Club iRacing Championship from Road Atlanta.